All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Keeper Chronicles. This is episode 4, but week 3, so I'm just going to start referring to these as weeks. Week 3, our recap today. The title of our episode this evening is A New Normal.
Is that normally on?
No, it's not normally on. My guests are being a little restive over here. I have with me tonight not only your champion from this last year, but also a champion from a bygone era. That's right. I've got with me Jacob Ambrose and David Miltimore.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with these two fine gentlemen, and it's an honor.
Hey, glad to be back. Yeah, that's why I like that on.
Okay, so we've got... Benton said, I'm tuning in on the bus from Winona. Wow, that will make that terrible drive a little bit more bearable, I guess. We've got quite a bit to talk about tonight, so let's get right into it. Jacob, I see here you have something about Mel Kiper. What did he say?
Yeah, it's gone. I wouldn't say viral, but it's been kind of reposted a couple times, and he basically tried to claim that defenses are playing this too deep safety quite often, and it's preventing the NFL from scoring. And he thinks that the NFL should just ban this defensive scheme. What are your thoughts? So for those that don't know, it's basically we're keeping two guys way back, so there's no explosive pass play.
Is this an anomaly? I'll ask you this. Is this something that's being used in more high percentages than years past? Or is it just all of a sudden he sees that passing isn't happening and he wants a scapegoat to blame?
So I think the Kansas City Chiefs really started doing this, last year, or their last few successful seasons. And I think the other teams are obviously adopting this strategy. But I think the NFL over the years has just obviously gone through essentially metas of what's working. If you go back to the 1970s, it's just looking like the Packers last week, just running the ball constantly. So I think teams are just adapting.
I'd agree, and I like the NFL is cyclical, right? At the end of the day, I think we could possibly just be leaving the era of the golden age of quarterbacks and elite passers. I mean, you look back 10 years and you have Manning's, Breeze, Brady,
Rivers,
Rodgers. I mean, you have all of those guys, and now, every year you think that we have some guys about to fill that role, but Trevor Lawrence has dropped off. Joe Burrow is 0-3. A lot of these guys just aren't necessarily.
Even C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud's still pretty good.
He's still good, but, Minnesota dropped that boy.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers is looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the league in terms. I watched his game and I thought he played great. Just in terms of the actual ability to read the play and connect with his wide receivers, I thought. He's old and he's looking better than these new guys for sure.
What's interesting is I would say Rodgers, the New York Jets offense, and we can move on to fantasy real quick after this, but I'd say the New York Jets offense doesn't scheme people open. It is a very talent-based offense, and it's more of like my guy is better than your guy. Whereas a lot of the Shanahan and McVay tree offenses and Andy Reid, they scheme people open through the routes they call.
So something I've noticed too, just about while we're talking about quarterbacks, and then this is the last comment. I feel like this is the era of the journeyman quarterback, not the franchise QB. You have just a few franchise quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes being one of them. Lamar at this point feels like one of them. Josh Allen. You could count Joe Burrow, but
Justin Herbert. It doesn't feel like some of these guys are for sure things anymore.
Well,
it doesn't feel like you could make a 10-year commitment like the Chiefs did to Patrick to every one of these guys.
Yeah, I think the only one at this point that's cemented himself as a Hall of Famer already is Patrick Mahomes.
I'd say Lamar and Josh Allen are close though.
Yeah,
you remove Patrick Mahomes from this equation, and you would imagine that they each at least have one more MVP. Maybe. I mean, Mahomes has
Sure.
2.
Right.
And they probably at least have a Super Bowl appearance at the very least. But
You would like to think, yeah.
Mahomes is the Brady of this era.
Absolutely. No doubt.
All right. Well, those are our thoughts on the league at large right now. Are we entering a new normal? Are we entering just fantasy is playing very different this year than years past, and I think it's time for us to stop expecting it to be like years past. And so I think running backs are higher value. Finding a good kicker has proven to be very high value.
I saw that Ross's kicker, Brandon Aubrey. Did you see this?
Ross sent me this. He said this would be a good talking point for your podcast.
How many star players he has outscored?
Yes. So Brandon Aubrey has more fantasy points than Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison Jr., Amon-Ra St. Brown, Bijan Robinson, Devontae Adams, Patrick Mahomes, C.J. Stroud, C.D. Lamb, and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I checked that score because that was a game to watch. That was a fantasy matchup to watch. And at one point, he had one field goal, and it was 60 yards, so he'd already scored 6 points, which is more than most kickers scored this week. And this was in the first quarter.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I think he's technically, if he was a wide receiver, I saw a stat today, he would be wide receiver 4 overall.
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver 4. I forget what the other ones were, but just that alone is like, this is a guy you're taking, last 2 rounds
totally.
of the draft. So to get that kind of value, it's insane.
It's insane that it also ended up on Ross's all boom,
No bust.
no bust team. Just crazy.
He's about to bust.
He is, absolutely.
Week 5, Ross. Just remember Luke's prediction.
Was it? I think week 6. I think I moved it up to week 6.
Okay,
Week 6 is whenever he's facing you.
Oh, okay.
That's when he'll lose. All right, let's recap this last week. Rebrand Revenge. That's David's terribly named team.
Some of you formerly known as Puka Power, obviously had to hit him with the rebrand after he went down week 1, and my wife said it was good. So
Rebrand Revenge. Chat GPT. So you faced off versus your father, the Wiz, this week.
Yeah, I wasn't too scared.
You made a lot of comments. David was home this weekend, and he made a lot of comments. I heard like, "Oh, does a win against the Wiz really count?"
It's kind of like almost a bye week for your team. But you can take some more risks. You can start some guys that you maybe might not normally start, and hope that they have a great game, but you can take that risk when you're going against the Wiz.
I feel like you can't underestimate the Wiz this year.
But you can though. Did you notice that he swapped Najee and A-Chain again just for it not to pay off?
Mark, I apologize for that. I feel like you maybe took some advice from this podcast a little too much.
I mean, I know I'm 0-3, but he feels like he's cursed with mismanagement.
Who doesn't?
It's so true.
I feel with Lamar, you are always in it. You never. He and Josh Allen. There's a reason they were keeper picks. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been paying off for him. Lamar and Kyron combined
for 57 of the 83 points. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so like, he just needs Devontae Adams to maybe reverse an age, maybe Stephon Diggs to go back to Buffalo or Minnesota, and he's right there.
I think when I started feeling good was that Thursday night game when his tight end, his first player, got 2.9 points for his entire game. And then icing on the cake was his defense getting -6 points. Just kind of a sad performance, but we'll get to the awards later. But I think he's got some potential here on his bench.
Let's just say there were a few times when David would we're watching football and David would just sit back into the couch. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm so glad I'm playing the Cheese Whiz." He would just say that. So. Good or bad, that's what the feeling was for him. A bye week for David, an emotional bye week. Moving on, Romness rebuilt, took on Trust the Process or Trust and Repeat.
May I just say, I feel like he is not rebuilt yet.
Oh, he's rebuilding. If anybody needs a name change right now, Sam needs to change to Romness rebuilding parentheses again.
Yes, the younger Ambrose boys are both 0-3. The only
Thank you.
on teams without a win. I did talk to Sam today. He said that he is going to be going under a rebrand. I don't know if it's going to be prior to this week or next week, but I believe the Romness
I can help.
I believe Romness is officially going to be dropped. So.
Rashid Shaheed scored 0 points, a big fat 0. One catch for Isaiah Likely, which is, let's just say, has been dropped again. I'm going to talk about that in a second.
We can talk a lot about Sam's waiver moves this week.
Oh man, yes, there are many of them.
Yeah.
And then he's still banking on Anthony Richardson. Or he was.
No.
Oh, yeah, he's been dumped as well.
He's been dumped. Sam had a couple dumps for quarterback until he settled for the ultimate revenge for you.
And you know what's a shame? It was a really midweek for you.
Oh, I think everyone's having a midweek.
Well,
other than the true contenders.
Yes. But you had a midweek, so if anybody was going to stop you from continuing your streak, it was going to be probably this week. But Sam's team just sucks right now.
I still scored in the top half of the league. Just saying.
Notice I'm going to say a few things about Michael Pittman tonight, but he did not start yet again. He was on the bench. Yes, he was a first-round pick in the draft, by the way, for Sam.
All right, let's move on to all boom, no bust versus the contenders, which I dubbed last week as the matchup of the week.
I think you're right on that one.
And sure enough, it was the top 2 scoring teams, and I think we really saw that like both teams are truly the force to be reckoned with. Ross, I just don't know how to stop him. I think you're gonna like.
I mean, even looking at his bench, he's got 87 points on his bench alone.
Yeah.
That's more than some of our more than some of ours.
Mark and more than Sam, I think.
It was close to my score as well.
Yeah, it was close to his score too. Yeah.
I mean, who would have predicted like Saquon Barkley is insane right now.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So I think like for Ross to lose, it's gonna take Philadelphia to collapse again at this point.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so what was interesting, I'm watching the Philadelphia game, going like, oh man, this is going to be bad for Ross's team. And then it's like, oh yeah, everything's filtering through Saquon right now.
Yep.
And of course they had that little rally at the end as well, right?
Yeah. Barkley went off. I mean,
yeah. I was looking at the score and I just wanted to make a quick note. So Dalton Kincaid for the contenders this week, he is only the third tight end starting on our teams. The third tight end who's been started on our teams to break 10 points this year. The first was in week 1. Kyle Pitts broke 10 points for Jacob, and then Trey McBride in week 2 broke 10 points for Ross. But this is only the third time that one of our tight ends has broken 10 points. So I'm not feeling that bad about Travis Kelce, although it's a huge disappointment. And Mahomes doesn't seem to have the hots for him anymore. But
do you?
I said last week on the podcast, I said no low ball offers. I know Kelsey's value, and Jacob sends me just a terrible.
Was it terrible?
Jake Ferguson.
No, I didn't offer you Jake Ferguson.
Yes, you did.
Oh well, that was it was Jake Ferguson and Deontay Johnson. And do you regret saying no?
No, I do not regret saying no at all. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting though, that if you're hurting in the tight end department and feel like you're getting let down week after week, you are not alone.
I'll better you this offer: Kyle Pitts and Jake Ferguson for Travis Kelce.
Oh, great! 2 bad tight ends for one.
Whoa!
For one who has a higher potential.
I can't wait for Jake Ferguson.
Bad
Travis
live
Kelce
trade
every
offer.
single week.
All right, I'm gonna bow out of this one. You can talk about the Freight Train versus the Phoenix.
I think we got to just take a moment and really congratulate Benton. You finally won a game and you scored points. Like, you were scoring points and just got unlucky.
And his tight end got 0 points.
He
still won.
You know, Benton, I'm going to do a little hint. I did nominate you for Russell Wilson of the week for your undying love of Mark Andrews, no matter how bad he is producing this year. You did get beat out. So just know that you were on Russell Wilson watch. But yeah, I want to say a big congrats, Benton, for finally going up against a bad team.
Yeah, and he's one thing I noticed, he's got Alec Pierce on his team. The Indianapolis's wide receiver number 1 right now, which is just sad when you consider Sam's got Michael Pittman, draft pick number 1 for him, sitting on the bench. So just kind of sad.
Yeah, more to say about Michael Pittman later when we talk about Sam's waiver moves. Hint, hint. Yeah, it was a close game. I thought I was gonna win,
But Bijan just is.
Bijan was fine.
He does fine.
He does fine.
He doesn't boom.
Well, okay, so you look at the pass distribution on the Chiefs, though.
Oh,
12
yeah.
targets for Rice.
I think it was
Or,
12
sorry,
catches.
12 catches for Rice.
I think he
more
had
targets.
14 or
yeah.
15 targets.
Yeah, 12 catches for Rice and only 4 for
which is actually a season high.
Yeah, for Travis Kelce. So it was just like classic. We both are waiting on one guy, and yeah.
You're banking a lot on this Jonathan Brooks coming back or getting healthy.
I'm not
Gotcha.
banking on it per se, but I am hoping that it adds value to my team and maybe allows me to trade for a good wide receiver.
What is the timeline looking for him? He's got to be getting close.
He's back week 5. Eligible week 5. So we'll see about.
I mean, there could
we'll
be
see
a lot
about
of potential there.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see Andy Dalton did well, obviously, in Carolina.
It was amazing. And Adam Thielen was out there. He got hurt? Yeah. Well, he scored a touchdown there.
Deontay went off, right? So Deontay found Dalton and Deontay are finding each other. I'm hoping that, if Brooks comes back and is healthy and is strong, that they can diversify their game a little bit and get something going on the ground too and actually become a real team.
You would love to see it.
It would be cool. By the way, is Chuba still RB1?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Chuba, and I believe Miles Sanders is still there too.
Okay.
So Brooks has a ladder to.
Chuba?
Yeah. There's a reason he was claimed.
Yeah. Oh, hint, hint. A
We'll talk.
I want to give away some awards right away or right now. So let's go to our awards show. Oh, that is not right. I just showed somebody got the Russell Wilson award, but I'm gonna pull a sneaky one on you. The Gritty Award this week, no surprise, goes once again to All Boom No Bust. Ross, congratulations.
Unstoppable.
I am really holding out for week 6. I was just like,
wait. Am I going to have another midweek and let someone underperform?
Has anybody looked at what the bye weeks are for his players? Saquon.
That's a great question.
Who are his other top guys?
He's big Eagles and big Cardinals, I think.
Yep, he's got Trey McBride.
Bye week is week.
Is it week?
Is it this? Week 5. Week 5 for the Eagles.
Correct on your original prediction.
Week 5 for the Eagles,
which is actually great because I think I'm going against him on week 5, so maybe I stand a chance.
Benton says not enough talk about the Frayne train.
Shout out Frayne train.
Shout out to the Frayne train. There's not enough talk about him apparently. He's doing great things. Train things. Yep. He's training.
He's training.
Still waiting for that shoe logo to be changed into maybe like a train or like something appropriate.
Just even his face.
Honestly, his face would be great. I've got it. Yeah, I've got a great picture he could use.
Yep.
All right. Best bench award this week is going to you, sir. Jacob, congratulations on the best bench. Malik Neighbors is the bright spot in New York right now.
So not only Malik scored like 28, Deontay, as previously alluded, scored like 26. I texted Sam Thursday afternoon and I said, against my better judgment, I'm going to start Garrett Wilson because I fear of missing out and then all of this over Deontay Johnson. And sure enough, guess who scores 12 more points than Garrett Wilson? Deontay Johnson. I'll probably make the mistake again, though.
Absolutely. I mean, are you going to bet on Deontay instead of Garrett?
I believe this week I am.
Okay, well, we'll see how that works. I also want to point out, once again, there is just some serial mismanagement from the Wiz.
This is not an award you want to win, to be clear.
So, honorable mention, very honorable mention, or dishonorable mention, I guess, to the Wiz. Not only for the Najee A-Chain swap that just didn't pay off, but also, who doesn't start Stephon Diggs?
I mean, it was the same thing when he didn't start Achane. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? One of the best running backs in the league. And he wants to blame somebody else.
But like,
But
okay,
what else are you to blame?
What are his other wide receivers he had?
He's got Zay Flowers, Devontae Adams. He's got Jaden Reed, Jordan Addison, and the guy he kept, Jalen Waddle.
Interesting choice on Jaden Reed, honestly. Just from a betting standpoint, I know he loves the pack. It's
the
his
Packers.
weakness.
Jordan Love is coming back next week, so.
He's gonna
You
be
don't
out.
think so?
He'll be out for the season next week.
Oh,
Do you
He'll
think
get
you,
injured.
So here's the question: do you rush Jordan Love back to go against the best defense in the NFL,
I think you do.
or
Malik's doing fine.
I no, it's
Give us the win.
I don't think it's a win either way. I mean,
All right.
yeah,
All right. Who's the waiver winner this week?
we got to give something to Sam.
Yep. And for all of his talk about, 2 weeks ago his waivers that didn't pan out.
He finally gets that waiver winner.
So I
Congrats.
feel stupid. Honestly, like I just picked up Charbonnet and he sat on my bench and then I just dropped him and I feel like it was just
Did you drop him for Derek Carr too?
I think I did.
Yeah, that was a bad move.
It was a bad move. Although Derek Carr slightly outperformed Baker, or did he not? Did he end up
All I know is, do you know who outperformed both of them?
Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, was Kenneth Walker the third? Wasn't he injured?
Yeah, he is injured.
And you still dropped him?
I still dropped him. I just
Okay.
didn't like it.
Just want to make sure that's clear.
Yep.
Do you want to give yourself an honorable mention here? I see you put it in the notes.
Yeah, honorable mention to myself. I picked up the number one defense.
Is it actually the number one?
I think they're
fantasy
number
defense?
one scoring defense right now on fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, all I know is I believe Pittsburgh is technically the NFL's number one defense. I just didn't know who is the fantasy number one defense.
Yeah, I think the fantasy number one, at least when I picked them up, was Minnesota. So
Okay, cool.
And they did great. They got 2 interceptions, I think.
There's a reason they're the best
There's a
defense
reason
in the NFL.
they're doing. I'm gonna stick with them.
They are the number one.
And I like it that when they do well, I do well. It's great.
It's great.
I love when that happens.
Yeah.
All right, Russell Wilson Award. A little note here. I had it going to Boompa, because I made these in advance, and I didn't change it before this.
I still don't understand.
I was looking for something. Okay.
I had
Well,
three
you had
I had
yes.
some notes here. That
Yeah,
I
but
thought
it was undecisive.
Sam for picking Likely back up would have been good. Benton for his undying love for Mark Andrews. Good old Frame Train. Shout out Frame Train.
Frame train.
I still don't understand your reason for Booms.
My reason for Booms was I don't know. You know what? I was just wanting something. Yes, I had to pick somebody, and you had some good reasons, but I had to pick Boompa. But it's not him. So
We're pulling a fast one.
We're pulling an audible. We're calling it Omaha. Because I was at dinner tonight. I made dinner for Mark and David. Yeah. And
Yeah. I had a conversation with him over dinner, and I was trying to, get some trades here moving. And he said, I don't need to trade anybody. I got that win. I said, you won last week? And he said, no, I got that win 2 weeks ago. He's riding a win off 2 weeks ago off week 1.
So, no, that was against Sam. Sam lost to the Wiz.
Oof.
Yeah, the Wiz thinks he's still good. I'm good. I got
good.
that win.
I draft my team and I ride with them to the end. So yeah, that's just kind of sad.
The Russell Wilson Award is not Boompa. It is indeed Mark A. Miltimore.
I do have to say Mark is one of the hardest people to get a trade through with. He's always
Unless you're one of his biological sons.
that is true.
Who just like they
they just weasel in and they're like,
yes, they
hey,
do.
Daddy,
Yeah.
this is a really good trade for you, I promise.
You know what they do?
Joe Mixon isn't going to score 50 points next week after you trade him to me.
Here's their strategy. They send him a trade offer while they're playing Fortnite together. And then they'll talk about it while his brain is like half on Fortnite.
You can't
and
concentrate on two different
nope,
things.
So he'll start.
Once it's kind of like a relief. Just take it. Like I don't want to think about it anymore. And then
Absolutely.
it's a strategy.
That's how it goes every time. The infamous Joe Mixon 55-point swing trade of 2 years ago was that. Oh, my goodness.
Wasn't that a vetoed trade?
No.
Which one was
no,
the
no.
vetoed one? Ross had a vetoed trade.
I'm sure he'll remember it.
I assume it was involving the Wiz in some capacity.
It was so bad. He was taking advantage of the Wiz.
But I believe Ross got the better end of the trade being vetoed.
He did. He did end up getting the better end of it. So again,
Poor Wiz.
yeah. Okay, let's look at the waivers from this last week, or from this week upcoming, for next week. So Isaiah Likely, there was a lot of movement, a lot of failed acquisitions too. David had a couple of those from guys who he had just dropped, whatever. But Isaiah Likely is once again off Sam's team. I believe that is week 1, like going into week 2. He picked him up, dropped him going into week 3. Wait, no.
He dropped him he added him into week 2, dropped him in week 3 to add him back in week 3.
Just to drop him now going into week 4.
Yes,
so Isaiah Likely and Sam are...
We also have to mention Sam's other move. That is the first transaction. No. The fact that he dropped his number 1 pick.
Yep.
For Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba Hubbard took the place of Sam's first round pick. Ross said Nico Collins for Jalen Waddle was vetoed last year.
Yes. Ross had Nico Collins and was trying to trade for Jalen Waddle.
Which, looking back now,
you're like, oh, I'd take Nico any day.
Yeah, sorry, Mark.
But yeah, Pittman's drop marks the first round pick that has been dropped, and all for Chuba Hubbard. Also, David, I saw you picked up Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, I did, and I don't expect him to obviously repeat what he did. But I've got 3 receivers on my bench that are producing absolutely nothing, so I'm trying to get something going here. I'm hoping that they can stick with him until Debo comes back. I don't know what his timeline is, but
other notables, Boompa picked up yet another Buffalo wide receiver. So Boompa's really counting on those double points always.
Double points.
Whoa. Sorry, there just was a late breaking transaction I'm seeing. Cheese Whiz dropped Jordan Addison and picked up TJ Hawkinson.
Oh, Wiz.
Whoa, Wiz. Dude, I think we've got...
He had this. I wonder. So I told him back when the draft was happening, and he was like, do I take TJ? I told him to set a reminder for himself to pick him up, and I wonder if that happens. So
Dude,
we'll have to get confirmation.
All I got to
that
say
happens.
is this is an early waiver winner already. Like, for next week, he might not start, but he might not start for another 4 weeks, but, like, that's a sneaky ad.
It might be a sneaky ad, but I mean, obviously Jordan Addison isn't doing anything for him right now. I think he's ranked. He just tried to trade me him. Actually, he's ranked number 106 overall for receivers.
He's played for like half a game.
Has he?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we'll see if is he starting this week. Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison is on track to be back this week.
Okay, I mean, it could be good. It could be a pickup, Jordan Addison too.
Yeah. I just like T.J. Hawkinson has the potential to be a double-digit tight end, which is rare. And so, like, we got to give Cheese Whiz a little.
I'll give him
credit
some
for some foresight.
Absolutely, he loves the Hawk.
He does love the Hawk.
Okay, let's.
Sorry. We can go back to
the
report.
And then obviously Benton is realizing Caleb Williams is absolute trash, and is banking on who did he pick up for him? Jaden Daniels, who is magic, I think.
One thing I wanted to point out was Jacob. Last week you dropped Scary Terry.
Yeah.
Obviously, do you regret that decision? No. After one big boom this week.
No.
You don't think he's gonna stay?
Did you watch the game?
I did.
The offense isn't made for Terry. Like, yeah, he had one, maybe 2 big catches. When you're looking in a PPR league, you want
the volume.
You want the volume. I want
the targets, the target volume.
Yes, I want the Amon-Ra St. Brown over Scary Terry. And Terry was getting like 5 targets a game.
Well, we'll see if it pays off for the Frayne train.
The Frayne train, he
is. Who did he drop for him? Christian Watson. Okay.
Which is an interesting move with J Love coming back.
Yeah.
So, we also have to point out Sam's finally dropping Anthony Richardson, who I was high on coming into the year, but sure seems like he can't complete a pass at this point.
Yeah.
Couldn't decide between Sam Darnold, and then eventually decided for the ultimate rivalry rematch, Joe Burrow going up against Luke Ambrose this week.
Oh boy, that is really what is going to be. If Joe does well for Sam and doesn't, he didn't for me, I'm going to be upset. let's talk about the luck standings really quick here.
Yeah. Just
Oh,
let me know
yeah.
when they're up.
They're not up yet. I've got to get them up. Let's see. Properties.
See, this is why I like the screen right there.
I know. Window capture. Let's go to Safari. Here we go.
I got the chair in my way.
Okay. There it is. So
All right.
these are our luck standings.
So, slight change. David still has 2 lucky wins. I have 1 lucky win. Benton, even though you got that win, you're still considered 2 unlucky losses. Boomps, sorry, man. You went up against the behemoth of all boom, no bust. And even though you were the second highest scorer, you still got a loss. So your luck counter is -1 right now.
Yeah, obviously this thing doesn't, this doesn't take into the fact of who's good and who's not. Going against the Cheese Whiz, it's not really luck per se. It's just obviously the way I scored the last 2 weeks. I don't think I've broken one. I don't know if I've broken 100.
I don't think you have.
And I'm 2-1, so I've definitely have come out.
It's what
on
happens.
top.
It's what happens when you go up against Romnus and the Wiz.
Yeah, it's just I got my luck. Hopefully I got my luck. Well, hopefully it continues, but I think it's a kind of an early season scheduling thing. So
that's the only reason I'm 3-0. I went up against David, the Wiz, and Sam, so got kind of a killer's row up ahead.
Yeah, I do find it interesting. It sucks. Sam and I are both 0-3, right?
Yeah.
And yet we're both neutral, which means that we have nobody to blame but ourselves.
Well,
and
yeah.
Mark's good. He got that win.
He's got that win with the same amount of luck as you.
He got that win with the same amount of luck. So he's good. Let's see. What do we? Oh, yeah.
Do you
All right.
want to go into?
Yeah, the positional power rankings. You want to explain what's going on there?
Sure. So similar to last, how it's always been, just look at your roster and get kind of a rank by position, and then I add that all up and average it, and whoever has the lowest, so low in this case is good because you would want the number 1 ranked player, and then I find out, then I just kind of rank us based on those results. So last week, so I have in green is highlighted if you won. So we see last week number 1, 2, 5, and 8 ranked teams based on this metric one. So just again want to point out that the number 4 ranked team has yet to win a game. And Luke, guess who that is?
Heyo, but I'm going up against number 8 ranked team. So
you went up against number 8 ranked team last week. So yeah.
So history is going to repeat itself.
All I got to say is the longer this goes on, the more I'm like, this positional power rank doesn't mean much.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad. I won my game last week, and I still went down in power rankings. That just shows you.
It's a week-to-week ranking,
right?
Because it's just based on how experts think your player is going to be projected.
Okay.
So it does take into account player matchups.
Sure.
I have true power rankings. Probably going to be revealed next week I just need a couple more data points.
All right, data point guy.
That's me.
Let's look at what's coming up in week 4. I think so. Jacob had a really good. He pointed out something really interesting. All of the matchups this week have something to do with rivalry in our league. So we decided that we are gonna just preview this week. This is rivalry week.
At least rivalry week number 1. There could be some in the future, but I feel like this is. Oh, am I?
No, you're good.
I feel like this is truly a rivalry week, though.
So we've got rivalry week matchup number 1: the Contenders versus the Rebrand.
Yeah. Me and Boompa, we've been swinging it like since the beginning of the league. We have been going at it. I feel like.
I mean, not only we have a year 1 championship rematch, right? We also have. Boompa did give you the middle finger that one time, right? That was you, not Ross.
That was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yep.
like you guys have beef.
We got beef. We're both 2-1.
I think so. What's so interesting to me about your two teams is you always seem to match each other's level, like throughout the years consistently. Like I said,
Booms was good last year. David didn't make the playoffs.
Whoa.
I'm saying just in terms of like how you view them, though, they're like always seem to be the same. And maybe it's just the way that they manage their teams is similar. But even like like our first season, that's when they both had their long win streaks in the same season, the 7 and an 8 win streak in the same season. So really, it was juggernauts in that first season, and this is coming back, and this is rivalry.
I'm looking forward to it.
Second up, we have the Wiz versus the Boom.
Ooh. The battle of the historically middling Miltimores.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm on top.
David has been historically the best Miltimore.
Historically, David has been the best Miltimore.
I mean, would you say Sam has been historically the best Ambrose?
No.
You have a chipper.
I have one championship, but I've only made the playoffs that one time.
Oh, okay.
I think Sam's made 2 playoffs.
Sam's historically been the best, and now
I don't think
really
you've made a playoff, have you?
Last
year.
No,
last year,
I make them every year.
You made them every year?
I think I've made them every year.
I don't think
I'm
anyone
pretty sure I
views
have.
you as historically the best Ambrose.
No,
though.
they don't. But anyway,
No, Luke, you didn't make it the first year. You and me faced off in the losers bracket.
Wiz versus the Boom. Again, David made lots of comments about viewing the Wiz matchup as. But historically, these two are so mediocre.
Yeah.
Absolute mediocrity. Ross named his team Mediocre No More once, and
he actually went. He wasn't mediocre. He was just bad last year.
He was just bad.
You know, yesterday morning over breakfast, the Wiz made a comment. He said, "Wouldn't it be something though if the Wiz beat the Boom?" And I said, "Yeah, that would be something. That would be a Christmas miracle."
Mark, I'm saying I've always been a believer in the Wiz. I think you can do it.
Wouldn't it be something? I'll just leave it at that.
Wouldn't it be something? I just love that. Next matchup we were just talking about this, the Phoenix versus the Romness Rebuilt. Yes, those are Mark Fleischer's nipples in Sam's eyes. Please don't watch this, Mark. Please don't. It's on YouTube forever, please. I don't want you to ask questions about why they're there, why they're yours. What? Just don't ask questions, okay? Let's just say we're a weird family. That's Jacob's father-in-law, for those of you who are wondering. I'm just making it worse. Let's just say I'm something of a whiz with Photoshop. Okay, so brother versus brother. This is
it's the battle of
battle
the
of
losers
0
right
and 3.
now.
Battle of 0 and 3.
Someone's gonna get a win.
I think the loser of this week, and I'm willing to make this bet or this wager or this
hot
commitment
take Luke
live.
coming in.
No, I'm willing to make this commitment live, and I don't know if Sam can confirm this or deny this. Whoever loses the matchup this week, you or me, Sam, has to rename their team.
I think Sam's already planning on it.
Well, then he needs to if he loses, and I will absolutely rename my team if I lose.
The Phoenix is just not.
Yeah, we'll see.
The Phoenix rose and the Phoenix is falling.
Yeah, I've gotta change that if I lose. So I think if I lose, honestly, my season might be done.
Well, I think it's probably the case for both of you. I don't know what the probability is and the percentage to come back, but in the NFL, I saw if you in the real NFL, if you start 0-2, the probability of you make 0-3, the probabilities of you making to the playoffs, I think are less than 10%. 6%. So it's pretty. It's probably even worse in fantasy football since you have less regular season games.
Finally, our last matchup of Week 4. Did you have something else you want to say? Our last matchup of Week 4 is indeed the Frame Train versus Trust and Repeat.
Frame train. Shout out Frame Train.
Yes, that is a picture of Benton consuming a fruit by the foot. He sent me a video once. Maybe I'll have to show it next week because it's quite disturbing of how he eats a fruit by the foot.
So this, I mean, it's a battle of the lucky versus unlucky right now, right? So we'll see if Benton continues to score and, knock me off. That good for him. Or if I continue to get lucky and just continue to produce mid results and go up against low scoring teams.
Personally, I'm pulling for a Train upset.
Luke, you are literally the guy that roots for anyone that's facing against me. I don't know if you have rooted for me to win a single week in all of fantasy football.
You know what I hope? I hope that you get an unlucky win or an unlucky loss I hope you get an unlucky loss that brings down your luck
To neutral.
to neutral.
Okay.
But I hope that it's a bad loss, that you score a lot and he scores more than you. That's what I hope for you.
Okay. That's really specific.
Spiteful. It's really spiteful.
Yeah.
Because I just can't stand being the worst Ambrose this year. Well, Sam is actually worse than me. But Sam's worse than me. Okay.
I've been meaning to. We're ad-libbing this. It's not on the agenda. Trades, Luke. We can't trade draft picks during the season.
No. However, if I don't think there's a way for me to do that. I'll look into it as a commissioner, but I'm pretty sure I can't do that. I am willing to do league ratified draft pick trades. So it would have to be confirmed. If you're going to trade somebody, you'd have to confirm it beforehand with the league that you're trading a draft pick so that it's in writing somewhere, so that when it comes to draft picks next year, nobody's going, hey, where's my draft pick?
So like in the ESPN app, like
Um,
chat channel, like the
we
league?
could do it in even the text.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
text,
sure.
the group chat. So that is open to you if you want to do that. Trading draft picks, but at this point, until I'll look, like I said, I'll look into if I can do it on the actual ESPN. But if I can't, then that it would have to be verbal
Yeah.
and
I just
in text.
I know that was a big change, and we were hoping that would help spur some trades, and trades are it's hard to move players. So, David, I heard there was something you were going to surprise us with, a live trade offer.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do a live trade offer here. I'm gonna start with Luke, the Phoenix, looking at his team. Not to put you on the spot here, but looking at your team, I'm hurting for wide receivers, and you've got a few I've been looking at. Looking
Who?
at your team.
I'll give you doubtful Debo
Huh? My team.
for me. Okay, what wide receiver? What wide receiver you want?
Mike Evans.
Oh, sexy Mike.
Sexy Mike.
I don't know why I call him
I
that.
don't know why you think he's sexy. What would you take for me to get him?
I don't even. Let me see your team. I mean,
It's we're working something here.
who do you have?
Do you need a running back?
No. I need a wide receiver, and
Tank Dill.
No, I'm not giving
Guess
you.
who has wide receivers?
You?
What do you need?
What are you trying to work out a trade with me live?
Do
I'm
you need a
leaving
running
this.
back?
I don't need anything, but I listen.
All right.
James Conner.
Ooh.
4. Let me look at your team. Okay. What would it take to get Garrett Wilson?
Interesting. Let's see your team. Live trades, everyone.
Live trades.
This could go down. I was looking at your team earlier.
We are going to wrap this up in 1 minute and 10 seconds.
No, we can just wrap it up. This is too much pressure. Live trades are scary. Laporta. No. Laporta was a bad pick when you picked him. Yeah. Let me do a little analysis, and I'll send you some.
We'll see if and don't forget, you can trade a draft pick. I might give away my team for the next year. I might just do it. Also, I'm pretty sure we just I just had a thought pop into my head on the Michael Pittman drop. We observe the NFL players' undroppable players list.
Yeah.
That means Sam's first round pick is not an undroppable player.
My first round pick,
That would have been true because we all have the keepers. That's right. Anyway, all right, not a cool thought anyways. You know what? I might be hitting up somebody to get a guest for next week, but David, you've been an excellent guest. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. It was a good time.
Give him the mic so he can have.
This is literally the only reason I came all the way up here from Texas is to be on this podcast.
Absolutely, he did.
So, yeah, it was a pleasure. Keep making it up.
I think we're number 1 on Apple now, aren't we?
Number 1 on Apple, number
Undisputed.
1 on Spotify. I think you just beat Joe Rogan out last week. So it's always the best part of my Wednesday.
All right. It was great. Another good podcast.